Well, it's May 28th, day after Memorial Day. I was going to take a video yesterday, and it started to rain, and I had uh, battery problems, so I didn't. So I'm doing it today. Thought I'd start with my rhubarb, because I forgot to show that last time. I've got 5 rhubarb plants here, and they're planted right by where we park our vehicles, as you can see. So they're doing well. We're not harvesting anything this year because they need to get established first. Let's check out the raspberries. We actually have a few blossoms coming out now, as you can see. So these are my black raspberries. And over here we have the red raspberries. Above them we have some little cherries that have some green cherries on them now. I usually do some nibbling on those. They're right next to the lilacs here that are done blooming now completely. And here we are at the Wolf River tree. And you can see we've got some little apples starting here. Looking good. And the peach tree. Again, we've got some little peaches on here. Actually, we've got a lot of them. And I've started to do some thinning, but I'll continue to do some more. And here we are at the old apple tree stump. It has some strawberry plants growing. And you can see that we did have blossoms here. And it looks like there might actually be some berries that are going to start to form there. We'll see. There's another new one down here. And another one. I'll keep my eye on these. And here we are at the front of the house. Got some beans down there, some pole beans that I planted. You can see that they're coming up pretty well. And I'll probably transplant 1 or 2 of those over here, because I did plant some, but they didn't come up. As you can see, the daylilies are growing well. There's a rose here. It's never too spectacular, but there's a few chrysanthemums growing there too. The daffodils are all done blooming, and I've cleaned off the heads from the flowers. Hostas are going crazy again. And let's see, moving this way, peony has some buds on it now. More hosta, some lilies, some buds coming on the lilies there. Some lily of the valley. Lily of the valley are basically about done blooming now. Their blossoms are kind of turning transparent and disintegrating. And here we've got a columbine that's blooming. I transplanted this from over by the fence, the white fence that we have by the horse area. And I actually transplanted a couple others just this year. They're blooming too. And I got a nice oregano bush here that's growing. I'm going to have to harvest that and dry it pretty soon, a bunch of it. And blooming chives right behind it. And one of our flat leaf parsley plants is growing. And we've got our blueberry bushes. There's one of the 4. Surrounded by lily of the valley. I'm going to be digging a bunch of those out now that the blossoms are fading. There's a rose bush back there, actually, with a few lily valley blossoms that are still looking good. And there are some Asian lilies in here too. I'd like to give the rose and the Asian lilies and the blueberries more room. And back here we've got the rhododendron that's blooming nicely right now. Usually it's more of a pink color, but this year I treated the ground around here for the blueberries to make it more acid, so the blossoms are more blue. And next to it, the azalea bush is not blooming at all. Usually they're blooming at the same time. So I'm going to cut that way back and let it develop a bunch of new branches. See how it does. At the vegetable garden now. First row is snow peas. They're doing very well. Growing nicely. You can see that I do have some mulch around them now. Right behind them are some beets and then Swiss chard. And I've begun thinning those out. I just have thinned a little bit at a time so that I can eat the little bitty ones I'm pulling out as an addition to my green salad. But behind the Swiss chard, you can see a couple of transplants in there. We've got marigold and nasturtium. Marigold's in front. And behind them, we have radishes and carrots. Carrots first, really, in front. I need to thin those carrots. And I've started pulling a couple of the radishes for both the radish itself and the greens. I also add them to my green salad. Horseradish, of course, is doing well, growing like crazy. And then behind the radishes, I've got a flat parsley and chives, and then peppers. Here, you can see the one on the left is much smaller. I thought that had frozen out, but it's resprouting again, so I'm going to let it grow. I've added cages around the peppers. They don't really need them yet, but I believe that when the cats get in here and roll, they can do some damage, and I'm just using those cages to kind of protect them. In between the pepper plants, there's some cilantro and some of my marigolds that I've started from seed that I transplanted from. Got to transplant more out of there and move them around a little bit. I want to spread them around the peppers and tomatoes some more. And here we've got the tomato plants, caged as well, although there's one that I still need to get a cage for. I think I've got another one back by the barn. I'll have to check. Here we've got basil growing that I started from seed. Some more marigolds in between the tomatoes. Here's my pepper plant that got rolled on, I believe, by a cat. I'm not sure what happened to it, but in any case, it's got a little leaf sprout in there. We'll see how it does. And I've got a cage around it now. Some more cilantro. There's actually a tomato plant in there too. It's just came up, but I'll probably get rid of that unless this pepper plant doesn't take off. Some more peppers, flat leaf parsley, and tomatoes. It's all doing well. Here's my nasturtium bed. I've thinned out most of what I'm going to. There's really one more plant I want to take out of here. It's that middle one of these three. And I'll just find a place for it. I've got my regular peas. They aren't as big as the snow peas are, but they're doing pretty well. They've had to deal with some cat rolling too. I've seen them in there. And we've got the other end of the row of beets and my row of beans, and they seem to be doing pretty well now. I did add some additional seeds down there where there were some spaces, but they seem to be doing well. And I transplanted some of these marigolds and nasturtium right here in this little space. That's where some of those went. And this is our guest kitten we call Bunny sometimes. and we think that she's going to be having some kittens. So she's a feral cat. Haven't really been able to hold her, although we have been able to pet her and touch her sometimes. So hopefully when the kittens are born, with us handling them, they'll be able to be our way of getting closer to her as well. And you can see the horses are out back in the hay area right now. Well, actually most of them are behind the hay area in the east pasture eating some grass. It's kind of wet today. We had rain yesterday and this morning, and we needed it, so that's good. And I guess that's my report for this Tuesday, May 28th of 2013.